Hello, everybody. It's Craig Schultz here, founder of the One Shop Movement. If you have been following me, you know that I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, someone that's built business all around the world. Also a sophisticated property investor in a number of private companies as well, helping people grow their market leadership to hit the top 1%, at worst 10% of their niche, because more opportunities can come your way once you get that. I'm going to put together this special edition of my Navigating Through the Fog series. So you would have noticed some of my podcasts I've done lately have been with experts in legal, in medical, entrepreneurs, independent media, to help you understand, help you navigate the fog of this current crisis that we've been living through for nearly 2 years now. So I'm going to go through 22 parts of a blueprint that I've implemented myself as well, and also I think there are things that you could probably take away and practically implement into your life to help you navigate your way through this fog as well. So for all the new guests that don't know much about me and my journey, I've been in business for 20 years. I started in the fitness industry. I was one of the States of Australia's Fitness Professionals of the Year, and I was also a multi-award winning trainer. I had 5 fitness clubs, helped set up 22 franchises along that journey. So I helped a company expand their business from one state to another. I then built a multiple 7-figure online business. I've been a sophisticated investor in property, and many other forms of investment, including private companies, to build wealth and recession-proof myself. I've helped lots of people all around the world build an incredible side hustle business as well. Traveled to 120 different cities. I've experienced so much of what this world has to offer. I'm the proud author of my book I released last year called You've Got One Shot, which is about you've got one shot at life. Go out there and give it your best shot, whatever that is for you. I started publishing that book back in 2019 at the start of that. And then at the end of that, we were going into a situation that I say, hey, you've got one shot at the moment to get through this situation. You've been challenged, your back's been pushed to the wall. Now is the time for you to stand up and say, hey, I've got to get control of my life, my finances, my health, my relationships, every aspect of my life. It could be the pivotal moment that you, I guess, make that decision and then just power forward in a new career, a new profession, a new business, a new opportunity, whatever that is for you, that is for you based on your circumstances. So this special podcast for the Navigating the Fog series, I've put together 22 things that I've implemented into my life over the last 18 months. Most of these are probably 2/3 of these have been probably habits that I've had for a very, very, very long time. But I want to share them with you now, because there might be some aha moments for you where you go, hey, this is a simple thing that I can do, a plug and play thing. Won't take me any extra time, and I can see how valuable that could be for my life. So I wanted to put this out there for anyone that's looking to navigate the fog, the current fog. As I always say, if you're trying to do that by yourself and you're the blind leading the blind, you're going to get lost. So it's important to have people with experience to help you navigate your way through that fog. And that's why I do my coaching program to help businesses, help entrepreneurs become market leaders in their niche. That's why I developed that, because I've done that around 5 times. I hit the top 1% of my niche around 5 times along my journey. And I want to share a lot of that with you. So I'm going to just start. Some of these are going to apply, quite simple things, and they're in no particular order. I was just brainstorming them all, and they're in no particular order of this is the most important to this is the least important. They all have a level of importance. And I would say some of them might not be things that you apply ongoingly. Like the first one is turn your TV off. If you haven't worked this out yet, your TV is a mind control machine. You will notice if you are glued to the TV that you are put in a state of fear, most of the time through the media stories, through the government narrative, and you're probably paralyzed or tranquilized based on this. And I see so many people walking around with their masks on and still they're probably double vaccinated as well. And they're still doing wide berth walkarounds. They are petrified. They are scared of their own shadow. And there are conversations I've had with people in my family that have felt that too, and they don't understand. I say, hey, if you watch the 6 p.m. news, you are losing brain cells by the second. So the number one thing I'm going to say is turn your TV off. I'll give you a quick story about my experience with that. I mean, for a very long time, I haven't followed any of that garbage, but last year I was in lockdown, and for my international followers, 120 days straight. And the premier of our state, I just literally can't say his name. I hated hearing his voice when he'd show up on memes and all the commentary on the positive side about it. It was actually, every time I heard his voice, it just drained me instantly. He had 3 months off work for whatever reason. That's a side story, but I can't stand his voice that much that I literally block it out. So for the 3 months he's been back in his position, he's probably giving important directives and updates and that. I couldn't care less what this guy says. I don't like him. I don't like the sound of his voice. And I just made sure that any form of media where I see his head, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's on TV, absolutely got to be out of my life. And if someone sends through a funny meme and it's taking the piss, let's say, I actually struggle to even watch that, even though it's set up for a laugh. So that's something that people should be doing. Just turn that absolute mind-controlling, brain-dead machine off, which plays lies and fear and propaganda constantly, the TV. Number one. Number two, if you do that, you will eliminate fear. If you are put into a prolonged state of fear, that is absolutely horrifyingly bad for your health. So the number two thing on my list, my 22, is eliminate fear. And doing, as I said, stop listening to the narrative, stop falling for the traps. And it might be negative people that you're hanging around that are giving you these stories that are all fear-based, and that puts you into a state of fear. And when you're in a state of fear and a prolonged state of fear, that is, again, very, very bad for your health. While we're on health, exercise daily. That's important. Just get up and move about. Don't sort of sit and lock yourself in to your cave and actually feel like you're stuck. And again, you are tranquilized by this situation. Take it upon yourself to go out there and exercise, whether it's a brisk walk, whether it's doing strength and conditioning, going for a run. I probably do that, I reckon, 3 to 4 times a day, where I get up, I go out first thing in the morning, I go out for a long walk by myself, and then I'll go and do an exercise program about 2 hours later. Then in the afternoon, again, I'll go out again for another big long walk. And I'm just constantly doing exercise to keep my self fit, happy, moving, get the endorphins flowing. Really, 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 really important. Also, nutrition. Again, a big trap for people is bad habits with eating, etc. So I would highly recommend that you make sure that you're getting as much fruit and vegetables and a really good balance of high quality nutrition into your body. So, you can, again, not be built up full of toxin. You can actually perform better. So exercise, and they're just no-brainers. They're always a part of my blueprint, but I'm just putting it in here because that's how important it is. But it is a bit of a no-brainer. Also, say high quality nutritional supplements. Again, this is an area I've spent 15 years in. I've always been looking for the highest quality nutritional supplements on the planet. I've been a brand promoter of one company's products for a decade now, and I'm passionate about them. But there are a number of nutritional supplements that company doesn't provide that I think has profound impact on health that I take as well. Digestive enzymes, zinc, obviously vitamin C, just those basic ones. Get vitamin D from the sun. But I am a true believer in in high performance and health requires top-ups or these extra nutritional supplements that can help you perform at a higher level. On this topic, continuing, water, vitally important. I say minimum 2 liters of water a day. If you are exercising a lot more because you've got a lot more time on your hand, drink more water. It's really, really important. If you can get a filtered system water, I think that's really important in today's economic climate as well. Water coming out of your tap may not be the most high quality. It just really depends where you live. So lots and lots of water and lots of sunlight. In lockdowns, you are, in theory, if you follow these directives, you are locked in your house. So I say to people, get outside and get some sunlight and fresh air. Really important. And again, these are all no-brainers. We're going to move into some other things that you may not have thought of, but these are no-brainers, need to be in your blueprint to help you get through this situation. One practice that I adopted back in 2014 when I went through the challenge with my wife when we lost our first son, Ethan, who was stillborn, I adopted meditation to help still the mind. So that's a practice that I constantly do every night before going to sleep. I'll turn on a guided meditation to put myself, and I go to sleep often to that meditation, just stilling the mind, relaxing. And I've found along my journey over the last 7 years, when I implement meditation into my life, I feel a lot more refreshed, and then I might get a bit sloppy and just drop out of the habit and the consistency of it. And I notice it pretty obviously as the difference between when I'm consistently meditating and when I'm not. So I'd highly recommend, and people say, hey, I can't still the mind, I can't, my mind's always racing. Mine is too. That's not really the point, but get into some sort of habit. There's apps that can help you with guided meditation. There's so many different forms of it, but it's a really good practice to implement into your life. While you're on that, healthy body, healthy mind, reading books, critically important. I used to be a really avid reader, but I'm probably more passionate about learning than reading. So I consume a lot more audio content or video content now that's more inspiring and educational than I do reading, but I still enjoy reading a book or two. So I did read a number of books over the last 18 months as well. So I'd still encourage that behavior. It's a different experience of learning as well. So reading books is really something that you can do. Well, I say listening to positive podcasts. Like in today's world, it's having a coach, having a mentor, having somebody that's in a level that you're trying to reach, to grow and chase is really important. To have a mentor to help coach you, guide you, etc., or join a mastermind, whatever you need to do to help you learn and grow. But listening to podcasts, it's free. You can actually learn excuse me, so much powerful information on podcasts that, it's just a no-brainer way to help grow and evolve. So for me, when I'm going for a walk in the morning, I'm listening to empowering and inspiring podcasts. I mix it up all the time between different people. Sometimes it's practical, tactical stuff. Over the last 18 months, one of the skills that I learned, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but they do a lot of content as well on that topic. So I'm listening to the new skill and the topic of that skill quite often. Sometimes it's inspiring stories. Sometimes it might be a bit of humor, but I'm always listening to something to lift me up. And I do that when I'm out exercising, walking, running, doing gym. So it shouldn't take you any more time to learn to feed the mind. All right. Practice mindfulness. It's really important, something that you should implement into your life as well. Journaling, another powerful thing. I'm a avid writer. So you'll come to my house and you'll just see just pages and exercise books of notes. If I have something stored up here, I like to sit and reflect and go through things and write it down, take notes, go back to it, read, review, etc. So journaling's a really, really powerful thing to implement into your routines or your rituals. And a lot of people do that as a part of their daily ritual to start the day. It's not what I personally do. It's something that I wouldn't have a problem to do it, but it's not a part of my launching my day ritual. But a lot of people get up in the day and they just write 1 or 2 pages, and yeah, great for reflection, great for goal setting. It could be anything. Writing about something is a really powerful tool. Highly recommend. Surround yourself with like-minded people. In this current time, you will develop new tribes, and that's okay. So it's really important. We're talking about the state of fear and putting yourself into the state of fear. That can reflect the people that you spend the most time with. So I'd highly recommend that you spend your time, or as much time as possible, with like-minded people. And if you are in a working environment where it's a bit of a negative environment, just make sure that accept the information and detach from the information as well. So if it's all doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom, and you've got to live that for 8 hours a day, understand how to embrace information, but also detach yourself from information as well. So really important to build your tribe of people and surround yourself with like-minded, like-hearted people to help you get through this current situation. So this is, again, it's just one of my little tips. Show a bit of empathy, because so many people are out there hurting right now. They might have had a really good business and they've lost their business. There's so many gym owners, people in my industry I've reached out to, because they've been locked down for the best part of 18 months. So showing that you care, that you're interested in them, that you're supporting them. One of my big things has been supporting local businesses as much as I possibly can. The local cafes, the local supermarkets, the local bakeries, butchers, and spending my money with these hardworking families, but also, just being showing empathy to people as well, and picking up the phone and call them, say, hey, are you okay? Your business is shut. I know you're doing the best. I really support you. I'm going to stay a member of your business to help you through this tough time, and just show that heart, that empathy, that love for people. I've also given my book away to a lot of people that, I feel that could add value to them. So if you're out there at the moment, you're hurting and you'd like to read my book, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to send you a copy of my book. If you live overseas, won't be able to do that from my personal stash because I can't ship it overseas because the shipping costs and the time to get there is a little bit more challenging than that. But if you live in Australia, I'm happy to send you a copy if you really need a lift up, and just reach out. And people from overseas, I'll send you the digital copy if that's of use as well. So yeah, reaching out to people, showing empathy, helping people. Also, I would say a really important thing is educating yourself. If your intuition and your gut is saying something is not right here, it's important to follow your intuition and your gut and ask more questions. Ask more questions. You're doing due diligence. You're doing research. I say to my wife always, I've learned a lot about the law. I've learned a lot about a lot of things over the last period of time. But I guess my research into what we're experiencing now could probably track all the way back to 2007 when I watched my first documentary called Food Inc. on how food was moving from a farm to the fridge in big department stores, and looking at that process and seeing how food was manufactured and processed and delivered and what was happening to food changed my entire eating behaviors. So then spending 15 years now in a supplementation and nutritional supplement space, and understanding registration processes and having dinners with Nobel Prize winning doctors and biotech company heads, and learning how the big pharma model works. There's another situation there where I was like, okay, I've learned a bit here that can be applied in the future. Then the global financial crisis nearly wiped me out, and banking was a massive part of the play there. And I started to learn about that. Then I went on a bit of a spiritual journey as well, and I started to learn a lot of other things that were happening around the world that you won't see in your day-to-day, because you would have been distracted by sport, by entertainment, by TV, by Netflix, your life in general. So you only know what you only know. So if something is saying this isn't adding up, go and ask more questions. Educate yourself, because information is your best prevention to walking into an ambush. And that's what a lot of people are going to do, because they are not just ignorant, they're ignorant and arrogant as well. And I always say to my wife, know thy enemy. So if you know who the enemy is, you know what you've got to look out for. So when I say educate yourself, may not necessarily be about this. It may be about business. It may be about whatever, but it's important to, if your gut's telling you something doesn't add up, your intuition's there, make sure you explore that. Also, know your rights. One of the things that I've spent a lot of time on, I did first year law at university back in 1996. I hated it, didn't want to continue with it. And had zero interest, to be honest, after the global financial crisis for me, when I had 5 gyms and banks said, Craig, we're not lending money to people buying franchise. We're not lending money for fit outs. Financing equipment was impossible. People were walking away from discretionary items like gyms and massages and fancy haircuts through the global financial crisis. And I re-engineered the way I went to do business. And I said, hey, I'm going to create my own economy. And that is that banks won't dictate to me. Governments won't dictate to me. So I had zero interest in these bureaucrats that are walking around where they're public servants, but they actually think they're important. I had zero interest in that. Didn't even know who our premier was. I knew who the name was, but I used to refer to the person as the guy that cost the state $1.2 billion on his election promise for wiping out a road where the money was already spent there. That there is financial suicide. I'm going, that's crazy. You should lose your job immediately based on that economic reckoning, but that's politics, and I can't stand politics. And this situation's made it even more eye-opening to what has been going on. So what have I done? I've learnt my rights. Knowing your rights is going to be very, very, very important in this situation, because if you're not going to wear a mask and QR code and you want to live your free, sovereign life, then you need to know what your rights are. And I would say if you don't know your rights, you basically won't have any, all right? Because the government's taken them away and they're trying to give them back to you and say, more freedom's coming your way. No, they're not yours to give back to me. They're mine. All right, my freedoms, and I own those freedoms. So educating yourself and knowing your rights are absolutely going to save you in this situation. It will give you peace of mind. It will help you escape from the fear that a lot of people are living in. So that there is all I'll say on that. Learn new skills. So this is an opportune time to upskill yourself. So I started with last year picking up the guitar and learning the guitar again, and sort of dropped that. And then I started to look at reading technical analysis on charts. I started following people that did this, and there's a guy that I've been following for a very long time that I would consider an expert. And I always say, if you want to learn a new skill, learn from an expert. And by my observations there, I said, this is a person I want to follow. So I actually paid to do some stuff, his course, and started learning how to read charts. I'm a novice at it, but I can sort of get I guess a very basic understanding of that. But the point is, it's a new skill. Learning your rights is something I would say is a new skill. So knowing your rights, it's actually picking up and learning something. So apply that into your life. It could be gardening, creating your own food. That may be the new skill that you adopt. It could be a hobby that you've it's to help you escape and help your mind be proactive, your mind continuing to work positively, and taking your mind away from, I guess, the matrix that everyone's in. Because if you stay plugged into the matrix, I can guarantee you'll be polarized, you'll be tranquilized, you will be like that Groundhog Day episode where it's the same thing over and over again. So learning new skills is vital. Same thing, getting out of your comfort zone. It could be that you're going to learn a new skill like play an instrument or start gardening for the first time. Actually, one of the things that I went back to my childhood. I did a mastermind last year. So again, back to building your network with one of my favorite entrepreneurs. His name's Gerard Adams. So I did a program with him for around 6 to 9 months. Joined his container, they call it. I met some wonderful people from mainly in America, which is where I wanted to expand my network. And he said, one of the great things that you should do is go back to your childhood. And one of the things that I used to do when I was a kid was go out collecting firewood with my dad and go and splitting wood. So one of the things that I did was got a little fire pit and started going to get wood and splitting it with the kids. And they thought it was amazing, seeing an axe go through wood and the wood splitting up everywhere. And then I went out just collecting wood as well. It sounds very, very mundane, maybe boring or stupid to some people, but it was just going back to my childhood and doing something that I used to love. Another thing that I used to do, I used to love climbing trees and mountains and so on. So when the golf course was shut, Zach was at a stage where he loved climbing trees. So I took him out on a few excursions where we just went and climbed trees. Again, sounds absolutely boring and stupid and mundane for many people, but these are the type of things that will get you through. Another thing, become a creator. When I say creator, I'm going to reference Daniel Priestley. So I created a podcast that's Becoming a Creator, the One Shot Movement podcast, where I've interviewed 150 of the biggest and smartest and brightest entrepreneurs, sports stars, thought leaders, inspiring stories in the world. And one of the great thought leaders and one of my favorite entrepreneurs, he gives so much value. His name's Daniel Priestley, founder of Dent. I asked every guest, what is a book that everyone should read? Everyone should read to help them get ahead in life. And he said, I'm going to give you a bit of a cheeky answer. It's not going to be the book that you read, but it will be the book that you write that changes your life. So what I mean by becoming a creator, it's that philosophy that Daniel shared there, is move from consuming into creating. So why don't you, it might be that creating things, for example, could be a podcast. It might be you become a blogger. So it's nearly like you're your own media company where you start writing about topics and you do it in a really professional way. It could be writing a book. You might go, hey, don't think I'm ready to publish my own book, but why not just create an ebook? And that's something that you can easily do, but you create the content and then you go on to one of the different platforms out there like Fiverr, where you can Upwork, where you can actually get someone to put the design and all that together. You create the content of it. These are the type of things that becoming creator. It might be that you have a personal training studio and you become a content creator for your business. These are just some examples of what you're doing. You might create a product for your business that you can start selling as well. So moving from consumer to creator. And that's a really good way to keep your mind occupied. It's a really good way to help you with your business. So for me, at the start of this, I started with my One Shot Movement podcast. First episode, January 2020 was the launch. Then this scenario happened. I needed to continue to create. So I went from a vision of releasing one episode a week to interviewing 5 guests a week and having like an absolute bucket load, but chasing the guests, these incredible entrepreneurs like Daniel Priestley, Jack Delosa, Dr. John DeMartini, Michael Lane, Brad Sugars, sports stars, just incredible thought leaders, inspiring stories. That to me was being the creator of a podcast and the activities required to network with these incredible people kept me inspired and enthusiastic about bringing more value to the world. Then I created my own merchandise line, promoting that. And this year I spent a lot more time being interviewed on other people's podcasts. That's been one of my number one activities to do. And I do that to get my name out there further. I love educating. I love adding value. I've got 20 years of business experience. I've worked closely with the likes of Jack Delosa and Gerard Adams and many, many other incredible, inspiring entrepreneurs, and being a part of their high-level masterminds and intimate groups. And I've learned a lot. I've got an incredible mentor I've had for over 20 years that taught me how to invest in property, how to navigate the global financial crisis, how to navigate many challenges in business. So I've got a lot of wisdom to give back, and I like giving as much value as I possibly can on my learnings and the experiences that I've had along my journey. So I wanted to get on as many podcasts as I possibly can this year. So if you do have a show, you want to get me for a guest, feel free to reach out. We can hook up a time. I usually do 4 every single week. So that's really my limit. And it helps with my one of my core parts of my coaching program. That's another thing I've created is my market leadership coaching program. I did that with Jack Delosa. We sat down for a day and we just said, hey, this here is some architecture, some framework, and this is how you can build out that program. So to keep myself entertained, to keep myself constantly keeping the mind active, I love solving problems for people's businesses. So I often aim to do 2 market leader strategy sessions every single week as well, where I can sit down and help navigate the problems that somebody's going through in their business, to give them some quick wins, give them a 10x on their investment with me. So it's only a small fee of $1,000 Australian dollars, excluding GST. But I say to them, you'll get $10,000 worth of value implemented into your business. Just a few quick wins. And for some people, I'm solving problems that are keeping them awake at night. And also, in one person's testimony to me, he said, I should be giving you a royalty for solving the problem that I had and giving me an incredible idea and a new direction to go down. So that's a little bit of a side note, but it's another thing that I've gone out to create to keep myself active, keep my mind off the fear, off the narrative, off the story, so I can go and serve more people. Start a side hustle. I've been an absolute I'd say world famous in this area, listed in the top 80 biggest income earners in the direct selling industry, in the side hustle industry. But I started that in the global financial crisis, and I said, hey, I never want to have a bricks and mortar business again. So I need to leverage online. I need to low risk, low entry, unlimited potential, high leverage. And I listened to an audio book called The Next Millionaires back in around 2007, and I adopted the 5 pillars to become one of the next millionaires, which was predicted between 2006 and 2016. The next millionaires will come from 5 key areas. I ticked off all those boxes and was able to participate as one of those next millionaires is transfer of wealth. So I've been out there giving people inspiration to start their own side hustle. So you could actually reach out to me and say, hey, Craig, what do you do? I'd like to do that too. I'd just like to know about it at least. And I'm happy to share that with you. But the point is, it might not be that. It might be you start selling something on Amazon. You might, start arts and craft business and go to the markets and start making some extra money. It's the idea, the concept, the model of creating something where you can dictate your own income. So you recession-proof yourself with your job, with your business, with something, and then you start something that can make extra money. And then you use that money to invest. And, it's a bit of a wagon wheel of wealth creation. And it's a bit more of a detailed, deep dive conversation. But, that's what Gary Vee was really big on. I think he's made a name for himself based on that, starting your side hustle. What are you doing from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. is what's going to make you win and win big. In today's economic climate, it's not a matter of if, you have to have that if you want to be able to navigate through. I'll give you a quick story. So I mentioned, I started that industry. And I tried many things, selling products on eBay, setting up membership sites, doing some consulting stuff for SEO, lots of different little projects. And then selling nutritional supplements to my gym clients. It grew, and then become something quite big. Now, if I did not do that and then kept on going down the gym path, I got through the global financial crisis and I kept going and going, I would have been dead in the water in 2020, been in lockdown, 5 fitness clubs, not being able to activate, one hand tied behind your back. So that's an example of my own experience there. And there's so many people like that. But if people are losing their jobs, people are losing their income, then their houses. So why wouldn't you want to start something to recession-proof yourself, to protect yourself? Maybe what might inspire you to do something else, and it could be literally anything, whatever it is, it's making some extra money. It could be if you got fruit trees in your backyard, set a little stand up out the front of your house and make an extra $50 on a Saturday afternoon or something like that. I don't care what it is, do something. It'll keep you active. It'll keep you, your mind off the fear and the narrative, but put the money aside and reward yourself. Just imagine an extra $10,000 a year doing something. Gary Vee's big on going to garage sales, finding something and then selling it online. It could be that. I'm not saying what it is. I'm saying I've done that with an industry, with a company, with the company's products. It's gone out and promoted their products and done incredibly well. But it's got to be something, all right? Don't fall into the trap of trading time for money, all right? It's the road to nowhere. Build your tribe. I've built my success predominantly when people say, what do you say is your number one tip for success? I just say networks, build networks. They'll create opportunities, collaborations. I've had a number of collaboration opportunities with the people I've done my podcast with. I've built relationships with those people, and now there's opportunities to do some work with them. If I was in the fitness industry now, I would have collaborations happening with a local chiropractor, the local hairdresser. You're not competing for that client, the same client. You can complement their clients. leverage their database. Let them leverage your database by cross-promoting to the same person that's living in that area. So building networks, building your tribe is vital. The last one, but not the least, is live your truth. Over the last 18 months, so for me, if you followed me, some know me, I've grown up, built business, built success, worked hard. I left home when I was 15, not because I wasn't loved. It was because we went to year 10 and it's like, well, you're either working in the mine or at the council, or you go and do year 11 and 12 away. And that's what I chose to do. So very, very close to my family, but I've always been a fighter. And when I say a fighter, I mean, financially, hard work, grind out, try and learn more, try and grow. And I've just continually been able to build and build and build an incredible foundation to build, an amazing life. But one of the things that I was very big on was not being controversial. So I wouldn't be interested in arguments around politics or economic events or religion or sport. I don't even talk about, create wars on my social media about that. And in May last year, I had just a moment where I knew something wasn't right. I knew that this isn't adding up. It's earlier than May. It was probably in March, whenever we did our flatten the curve. As soon as that finished, I said, this is not adding up. So I wanted to explore that a little bit more. And I already knew lots of parts of the puzzle from 2007, 2010, the banking, the big pharma, the agriculture, big agriculture, I knew big tech. Something didn't sit well with me there as well. And I just joined the dots, started asking questions, started listening, started learning, started research. And then I made the brave decision to break one of my golden rules, and I started speaking up. Why did I speak up? I spoke up because I knew that this was going to be big. I knew that this was going to be challenging. I knew that I was potentially going to lose business. I was potentially going to lose friends. I was potentially going to ruin my reputation. I may not ruin, that's maybe a bit full on, but the most important part of that is living your truth. When I say living your truth, every day I look at my kids and I say, hey, how do I want to be remembered by them? And if I know what I know, and I know something's wrong's happening, and I don't speak up, I'm letting down my kids. I'm letting down their future. I'm letting down their generation. And so I started speaking up, and I started supporting independent media, and I started creating groups where I could network with people and help educate them. So I learned as much as I possibly can to say, hey, this isn't right. This isn't, we're not seeing the story. And 18 months in, everything that I was saying at the start of that in April and May is reality now. And if people don't wake up, they are walking into an ambush. And that's a big word, an ambush, but I spoke up because I want my kids, when they're say, what did you do, Dad, when 2021 happened? And I didn't want to, it wasn't going to be my answer, mate. I just hid in my hole. I knew what was going on. I just sat back and let everyone else stand up. And I just sat back and watched the footy and the Olympics and just ignored it all and just hoped it all went away. Even though I knew it wouldn't go away because I knew what was going on, I didn't, want to be brave enough to do anything. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing, trying to help people, again, maximize their one shot at life, educate, and inspire people to do that. And I think an important part of my 22-point blueprint is live your truth, because if you don't, one thing I know for sure is that you will live with regrets. And on that note, this podcast is again another podcast to help people navigate the fog. And people are tranquilized and people are hurting, and relationships are strained, and it's uncomfortable for me, where I'm like saying no to everything, no to QR codes, no to masks, no to this tyranny, this medical apartheid. And I'm trying to lead by example, and people that are caught in the matrix probably saying, look at this guy who's wrecking it for everybody. This guy here, he's, won't follow the rules, and we're locked down because of this guy. No, you are locked down because you are following the rules. You are locked down because you don't understand what's happening. You are locked down because you're not prepared to look beyond the mainstream narrative. When our professors and our unelected health bureaucrats are saying we're following expert advice, my first question is, well, where is that expert advice? You keep saying it, but I haven't seen it. And when they present it, I say, who funded that expert advice? Why are people that are experts getting censored? People that have worked in this industry for 30 years, many that are still have practicing clients on a daily basis, why are they getting censored? They have nothing to gain, all to lose. If you follow the money, you'll usually find the answers. Same in the global financial crisis, same in all of these different agendas. It's the same. So on that note, I hope this podcast is going to help you navigate the fog. I really want you to be proactive. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be inspired. I want you to create. I want you to make decisions and make change. And if you can do that, you can get through. But most importantly, learn more, grow more, love more, and live your truth. And on that note, look forward to seeing